The following is a presentation of the Pro Wrestling Report. Informative, entertaining, and real since 1998.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
To scratch and major itch. So enjoy your fruity pebbles, you yabba dabba bitch.
The God Almighty! They've killed him! And CM Punk, and I am the voice of the voiceless.
Be the man! You gotta beat the man! Woo, woo, woo! You know it.
I got okey doke by the Jimmy!
Live from the Pro Wrestling Report studios in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. This is Monday Night Meltdown with your hosts, Damian Nelson and David Hero.
I'm proud to say we're doing things the Vince McMahon way.
That's the bottom line. What? Cause Stone Cold said so.
Bringing you all the latest news and views from professional wrestling. Monday Night Meltdown is on the air.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Pro Wrestling Report. Welcome to Monday Night Meltdown. Welcome live here on Blog Talk Radio. It is Monday night, March 12, 2012. Damian Nelson here, along with David Octavius Octavius, the alleged one-time Backyard Hall of Famer hero. To be joined in just a moment as well by Matthew Thomas. Actually, Matthew is on, and it is just an absolutely electrifying night in the wrestling world. Twitter's been a buzz. Facebook's been a buzz, and the entire world has been a buzz because Raw overall tonight was, as Michael Cole said several times, very attitudinal. We're going to talk about it. We're going to break it down. We're going to talk about The Rock, John Cena, CM Punk, Chris Jericho, Brodus Clay, and so many more names, including HBK, The Undertaker, and Triple H on what was a very active Raw tonight. The bottom of the hour, we're going to start taking your phone calls, actually at 1:45, 11 o'clock. Central Time. We'll start taking your phone calls. The number you can call, 347-996-5278. Again, that's 347-996-5278. We're also on Twitter, at PWR Show on Twitter. The feed is blowing up right now, as is the chat room right here on Blog Talk Radio. So, without further ado, let's get right down to business, if you will. David, Matthew, a very aggressive-natured WWE Raw tonight, which started with John Cena's return to basic thugonomics. Matthew, kick us off. Your thoughts on seeing that old-school vintage John Cena kicking off Raw?
It was surreal to a certain extent, seeing him come out in his old-school attire, if you will. I thought the performance was good. You know, the whole old-school dress, I don't know, it made it feel a little bit like a novelty to me. Hello? Hello?
Damian, you go ahead. Yes. You all right?
Hey, yeah. Don't know what happened.
I had an important phone call. I'm sorry. The Miz called me. I had to take that. He needed some consoling, some strategizing. I'm sorry about that. So, Matthew, I don't know if we got your comments because I stopped listening about John Cena and his return to thugonomics.
Yeah. You know, I thought it was a good job he did. You know, the whole old school Cena look, it made it feel a little bit more like a novelty to me than, you know, if he'd come out there in his normal attire and deliver the same thing. So I don't know, you know, it was surreal to a certain extent seeing him out there like that, but at the same time, I don't know, it felt like maybe it didn't flow quite as well with the events of the last couple of weeks between him and Cena, you know, just plucking him out there like that.
David, a hero. The last time we saw anybody take an attempt at thugonomics, it was the Kaz on an episode of PWR Primetime about a year ago. Well, John Cena was back in the chain gang gear tonight. Your thoughts on his rap?
You know, honestly, I mean, as big of a fan of Rock as I am, I think John Cena got the better of the battle. I mean,
again?
You know what? Yeah. I mean, if you look at it from the perspective that Cena didn't get nearly as much time as The Rock, and Cena didn't have sheet music in front of him, or did he have a karaoke machine on the Titantron?
Really? You're going to do that? Really? Well, you're going to do that?
I'm just saying. It just seemed like John Cena may have been a little more prepared. I'm not saying what The Rock didn't do was creative, but if you're going to sit back and nitpick and and figure out the whole thing, who do you really think did a better job?
Well, we're going to leave it up to the fans to decide again this week. And right now, on our Facebook page, you can answer the question that is being asked, which is, who takes the win this week? Is it The Rock or is it John Cena? Last 2 weeks, you guys have given The Rock the advantage. Let's see what happens tonight. Go to our Facebook page, facebook.com/PWR show, and vote. We'll have the results at the end of the broadcast here tonight with our poll, our question on Facebook. You mentioned it, David, and it's worth discussing. The Rock had his rock concert. He came out with the trademark guitar. We saw a rock concert a long time ago before from The Rock, and, he did have some assistance devices, if you will, from a monitor in the ring to using the Titantron for We Will Rock You at the end. But as personal as John Cena got a few weeks ago, The Rock got that personal tonight. Talking about John Cena, make it out with the diva-licious Eve, forgetting he had a wife. Cutting low close to home there, huh, David?
Well, The Rock finally got some of his own shots in on Cena. And let me just make it perfectly clear. I'm not saying that what The Rock did wasn't entertaining and it wasn't good. It didn't further the storyline. I'm just saying that, if you're going to look at both things equally, I'm not saying John Cena did a better job. I'm just saying that, it's a little awkward that for the amount of criticism that The Rock took for the notes on the wrist, he had a whole bunch of notes tonight. And you know what? Obviously, he had a longer segment than John Cena did. But, it's, like I tweeted, it's not business. Now it's personal. And they're definitely going after each other pretty hard. I mean, when John Cena, references that the plastic surgery, I guess you could say, that The Rock got, what was that now, 15 years ago, bringing that up? It's like, wow, very interesting.
Matthew, your take on The Rock's performance in his rock concert tonight?
I myself was thoroughly entertained. Anytime we get to see The Rock in action with the guitar in his hand, I always get a big kick out of it. The whole "We Will Rock You" thing there at the very end, I thought that felt a bit forced, and it felt like he fumbled quite a bit with that. So the way it went off the air didn't do much for me. But the Rock acoustic set, I loved about every minute of it.
And the fans in Cleveland seemingly loving every minute of it as well, playing right along, playing right into The Rock's hands. But I can't say definitively whether they were more for one or the other tonight in the arena in Cleveland. You got to think that just from what we heard, maybe they were a little more into The Rock. But one thing that needs to be said is that crowd tonight overall was simply fantastic. And they really, Cleveland rocks, and The Rock said it was a record-setting crowd in Cleveland. But from the beginning to the end of that program, they were vested, they were bought in, and they wanted the action, they appreciated the action. And some of that credit, I think, definitely has to go to the returning Funkasaurus, Brodus Clay. David Hero, maybe, just maybe there is a chance that when you ruin a career, it could potentially get resurrected at some point down the road.
Well, you got to figure. I mean, the Miz's career has to be resurrected soon. And Brodus Clay returns finally in Cleveland, doing his little dance. And, boy, thank God Jinder Mahal was there to do the job, because I don't think there's anybody else left. Brodus Clay sending out a tweet after his matchup saying, take that, haters. Because, it had been reported and people were saying, and because they read it on the internet, that Vince McMahon was unhappy with Brodus Clay's performance, blah, 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 blah. And if he was, you need a lot more than 3 or 4 weeks to get better if that was the case. But anyway, it doesn't matter because Brodus is back, and the Funkasaurus
and Planet Funk and the Funkettes. Talk about just plain old fun. And it was great to see Brodus back on Raw tonight. There was some good wrestling action tonight, and I think highlighted by a matchup between Sheamus, the man challenging Daniel Bryan for the World Heavyweight Championship, and the endorsed Dolph Ziggler. These two got a long match, a good amount of time to wrestle tonight, and I think they really did what they needed to do, was put Sheamus and Daniel Bryan in the forefront and continue to show the world just how great Dolph Ziggler is. This was a great match between these two competitors, Mr. Hero.
You know, both guys, got some great TV time in, almost pay-per-view time. And, Dolph Ziggler, he goes out there every week. He keeps putting other guys over, but yet he still gets one of the better crowd reactions week in and week out.
Yeah. Matthew, your thoughts on this matchup with Sheamus and Dolph Ziggler?
I thought it was phenomenal. I actually sent out a tweet earlier tonight that I felt like I should have paid for the match. It was that good, and it definitely delivered. Like David said, it got some time, and Ziggler is a star.
Well, ever since I endorsed him, yeah, he's definitely been.
Sure.
That's weird. David, are you having breathing problems over there?
No, I'm just, No, not. You know what? Not at all. I am in a fantastic mood. You know what? I was entertained by Raw.
You heard that tonight on this very program. You heard that I am making another endorsement, and that puts you in a fantastic mood. That's tremendous, David Hero. I appreciate the support, and I appreciate you finally realizing just how important these endorsements are. Yes, indeed, right here on this very program tonight, I shall endorse yet another talent. And it should be fun. I'm not going to do it right now. You got to tease it first.
Okay.
The Heartbreak Kid, Shawn Michaels, took the 9 o'clock hour, took the top or the middle hour, if you will, of Raw and confronted The Undertaker. This was a little awkward at times, including The Undertaker referring to April 21st as WrestleMania. Even without that, the history between these two men was brought to the forefront in this promo, and Triple H then appearing afterwards, after HBK seemingly showed some doubt, and The Undertaker showed some doubt in HBK. Triple H coming out giving the DX crotch chop to potentially play some mind games with The Undertaker to get him to perhaps believe that he and Shawn are in cahoots. Is this the explanation, and is this a valid enough explanation as to why the Heartbreak Kid, Shawn Michaels, is now the special guest referee in that Hell in a Cell match, Matthew?
That is certainly the question they're trying to allude to. How it's going to play out, we'll have to wait and see. I've got to say that I'm not as excited about this match as I was a couple of weeks ago. Over these last couple of Raws, Shawn Michaels has really taken the spotlight with this, introduction as a special guest referee, and it just feels like a few steps back.
So Paula Abdul is going to sing the national anthem, you think, at WrestleMania?
It's a possibility, huh?
2 steps forward, 3 steps back. David Hero, HBK, should he or did he prove his worth in this matchup with his words tonight?
Well, I think that if you truly listen to what Shawn Michaels Undertaker had to say, it told a lot. They're definitely laying, and I will say this a few times tonight. Everyone that cut a promo tonight laid the groundwork to sell more tickets and pay-per-view for their match. And that's exactly what Shawn Michaels Undertaker did. Triple H comes out and does the crotch chop simply because what could he say tonight that hasn't already been said? So for him just to go out there, stand and stare down Taker, uneventful. Throw the DX crotch chop, get a larger reaction from the crowd. That's why that was done. It's interesting because Taker is going to be playing Shawn Michaels against Triple H for the next 2 weeks.
Also on Raw tonight, we saw The Miz take on CM Punk, and that match made by John Laurinaitis, general manager of Raw. That match made, and if The Miz were to have won that matchup, he would be part of the big 12-man tag team matchup, Teddy Long's team versus Big Johnny's team to determine who would be the GM of both Raw and SmackDown. That match announced to happen at WrestleMania. Well, Miz would fail in his efforts and would be overshadowed of even being in the matchup by the words that came out of Jericho's mouth right then. The words where he spoke of CM Punk's father, and he lifted the veil, if you will, on the fact that CM Punk's father was not straight edge, was not a good father, at least in the words of Jericho, and was an alcoholic. Now, anybody who's watched Ring of Honor for a long time knows of this because it was a bit of a story or it was brought to the forefront there, but this is new to the new CM Punk fans, new to a lot of fans of CM Punk. For me, it left a little bit of a bad taste in my mouth. It felt like a step backwards, not a step forward in what should be one of the most tremendous matchups we've ever seen at WrestleMania. I'm still on the fence with this one, but David, I would love to hear your thoughts on the pipe bomb or the Molotov cocktail, as WWE has called it, dropped by Chris Jericho tonight.
You know, I mean, a lot of us watch wrestling to escape reality, and I'm sure there's quite a few wrestling fans out there that can relate with what CM Punk had to go through with an alcoholic parent. I wasn't a big fan of that being part of the show, or that being part of the promo, but I guess there's a reason for it. You know, it's gonna give some more fire and some steam to this feud, which, the in-ring action is going to be fantastic, but there hasn't been a whole lot of great promo stuff going back and forth. It just gets a little bit too real. I mean, if you look at Raw, for a company that is about, and of course this is reading way into it, being anti-bullying and rising above the hate, there was a whole lot of that going on tonight with all three of the featured matches going into WrestleMania. So it's going to be interesting to see how Punk, who is usually pretty sarcastic, pretty snarky.
Really?
It's gonna be interesting to see how he responds to that next week. Is he gonna come across as being vulnerable? Is he gonna be emotional, or is he gonna just put it aside him and tell the world how he has risen above and how he's become a better person? Amazing. First of all, you got CM Punk's father being a drunk. Then you got The Rock referencing John Cena's mom as being a hoskie. It just, wow, I mean, it's not a good night to be a parent in the WWE, that's for damn sure.
Things got real. They got real quickly tonight. But, it seemed as if this has the potential of, damaging CM Punk. And let me explain why I say that. CM Punk's a guy who, I guess, really doesn't have a care in the world. He's straight edge. He's touted this straight edgeness, the reasoning behind it, because he doesn't need these poisons in his life, and competition is his only addiction, blah, 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 blah. The fans love the pipe bomb. They love the fact that he says what he thinks, and he's been truthful, but he's kept this for why he is CM Punk. Then I think there's the potential in some fans' minds for damage there. He looked vulnerable tonight, and I'm not sure he has looked as vulnerable as he did tonight since the pipe bomb incident of the summer of Punk last year. Matthew, would love to hear your comments on those, on CM Punk and Jericho tonight.
There's definitely, speaking to the vulnerability, there's definitely that potential there. However, you do also have the potential, with this to actually kind of expand his character a little bit, to come up in some kind of character development with these things kind of being pulled out from his past. But overall, I thought this gave another layer to the storyline as opposed to just being about the best in the world. And with the time and the attention that Cena Rock has gotten over the last few weeks, with the time and attention that Taker Triple H has gotten, I'm wondering if in some casual fans' minds this hadn't really gotten put back on the back burner. And so something to make it a little more personal like this, I think, may help bring it to the forefront a little bit more in this WrestleMania card.
David Harrell, do you think fans are going to care more or less, or no more or no less about this match between Punk and Jericho because of what happened tonight?
I don't know if they're going to care more about it, but if anything, it's going to get some more fans behind CM Punk. I mean, yes, CM Punk is the babyface in the match. You know, Jericho's been the antagonist. He's been the heel. But, you know, I mean, fans like the story of rising above and the underdog, and not that CM Punk's the underdog, but, you know, they're going to rally behind CM Punk in this feud. I don't believe that wrestling fans are going to side with Jericho, you know, and bully CM Punk and whatnot. But it's gonna be interesting going forward. Like I said, this WrestleMania has definitely taken a little bit more of a darker edge to it. You know, you talk about the end of an era with Triple H and Undertaker. You have the intense personal hatred between Rock and Cena, and now you're throwing in addictions with Jericho and Punk. I mean, I can only imagine what they're going to book the rest of the stuff as. It's, you know, it's going to be interesting, and I think it's needed to help Punk become a bigger babyface than Jericho for their match.
Is Rock and Cena taking too much away from specifically Punk Jericho in their upcoming match? This match for the WWE Championship. Are they taking too much away from that with the attention, the focus, the time that they've been getting?
Absolutely. I mean, right now, yes, we know that it's Punk versus Jericho. We know there's going to be a Hell in a Cell match. But it just seems like 80% of Raw is being built around Rock and Cena. And my concern right now is that it could be an epic failure with that match. I mean, right now we were almost getting too much of it. I mean, I know that every week they want to build the main event and put the focus on this huge match. But, boy, I'm telling you, I don't know if it's going to live up to the hype.
Really? That's a pretty profound statement there. Let me back up and make one comment. I'd love to hear Matthew's feedback on this. Arguably, WWE deserves credit for the amount of time that they have given Jericho and Punk over the last 3 weeks to progress their story. If you really look at Raw overall tonight, it had everything. They touched on every single WrestleMania matchup, and I think gave it the appropriate amount of focus for what the match will deliver. Brodus Clay came back, had a little funny ha-ha. They had the Divas segment with, you know, Eve, or not Eve, but with Beth Phoenix talking about Maria Menounos or whatever from Extra. They had backstage stuff. Zack Ryder was on Raw. I mean, the entire marketable roster, for the most part, was pushed tonight and was shown tonight and was a part of the show tonight. And we even found out Christian's going to be back on SmackDown Friday night. Tonight had a very different feel to it overall. And I would say that The Rock and Cena are overshadowing Punk and Jericho, but I don't think that WWE is overshadowing Punk and Jericho. And that might sound a little confusing, but and I hope I'm explaining as best I can. They could give them more time. Could give Cena more time. They could give more time.
Oh, they can't give Rock and Cena any more time than what they're getting. I mean, The Rock got almost 20 minutes tonight.
Well, why did 18,000 people plus buy tickets tonight to see The Rock?
Well, no, they did. They bought tickets to see The Rock. There's no question about that. You know, The Rock is the guy that's going to sell the tickets. He's going to sell the pay-per-views. John Cena and him are going to be the reason why this WrestleMania is going to be the most bought pay-per-view in the history of WrestleManias. But my concern is Vince McMahon, they all say that the WWE Championship is the greatest prize in the land. And right now it's taking third billing on their biggest show. You would like to believe that when you're the champion of the WWE, that you should at least be tied for top billing. And right now, with the amount of a push that they gave CM Punk, he is right now no better than the number 6 guy in the company from the top, because you got to put Shawn Michaels in there now. It's Rock, Cena, Taker, Triple H, Shawn Michaels. Now you got Punk and then Jericho.
Matt, do you agree?
The thing with Rock and Cena, you've kind of got to look at it. I mean, it's something unprecedented that they've done. I mean, this has been a main event of WrestleMania that has been booked for a year now, and while it does seem like Jericho and Punk are definitely taking a bit of a back seat, you know, in both the titles, actually, that and the World Heavyweight Championship, you know, for a main event, for a match like this that has been billed for over a year as basically being, you know, trying to be the biggest main event of all time, I don't know. I cut them a little bit of slack for that because it is something new and different that, you know, I think it's getting the amount of exposure that it needs to. Could they do a little bit more of bringing the titles to the forefront? Absolutely.
Interesting perspectives from both of you. I don't know. I mean, we've talked about this, David, on TV. CM Punk's not going to sell out Sun Life Stadium. Chris Jericho's not going to sell out Sun Life Stadium. They're not going to deliver the buys. So if you're WWE, you could almost ignore most of the other matches on WrestleMania, but they're not. I think they're giving the appropriate amount of time to each feud and story that is announced as a matchup for WrestleMania. I truly believe they're giving the appropriate amount of time to each.
You know what, Damian? But you can have CM Punk sell out WrestleMania by it's something as simple as putting Jericho and Punk on the same poster as Rock and Cena, as Triple H and Undertaker. Give all 6 of those guys top billing. Right now, your current champion of your Raw brand, your flagship show, is at best number 6 on the poster. You have to show the fans that he's at least number 3. He can be behind Cena and Rock, that's fine. But at least show the fans that they have enough faith in him that he is up there, and they're not doing that. And so when WrestleMania is over with, and then the next pay-per-view is going to be headlined by CM Punk against whoever, you got to wonder how much of a drop-off is that going to be?
Right. Fascinating dynamic. Fascinating time in professional wrestling, an exciting time in professional wrestling. And we were just couple weeks away from WrestleMania, and I tell you, the buzz surrounding this event is pretty fantastic, pretty tremendous right now, from the wrestling fans all over the world, from the pundits, from the critics, from the supporters, from everybody. Everybody's wondering what's next. And I think what a lot of fans need to do is step back and look at this card overall. This is one of the strongest WrestleMania cards overall in a number of years, maybe since WrestleMania 17. Some people are giving slack to the fact that WWE has booked a 6-man on 6-man tag team match, total of 12 people involved, for Team Laurinaitis and Team Long. I don't see how that's a bad thing because it's going to put 12 guys on the card that wouldn't have been on otherwise. It's even better.
Well, what they're doing is they're giving 12 guys a match that means something, and not just having 4 or 5 singles or tag matches that it's not going to impact the show one way or another.
An active Raw tonight. It's almost time to take your phone calls. As a matter of fact, it is time to take your phone calls. But before we do that, we are going to go around the room and get thoughts on WWE Raw from Linda and the man they call Meathead. So let's start now with the John Cena supporter, Linda Kay. Linda, why don't you tell us your thoughts on tonight's episode of what was his name, the Russian wrestler that is no longer was released? Vladimir Kozlov would say in WWE. Linda Kay, there she is.
All right. Well, it definitely wasn't PG tonight. Wow. I mean, opening the show with some thugonomics, old school John Cena. And he definitely got some good looks in there. I mean, I was highly entertained, cracking up, and some of the things he said made my jaw drop. Haven't heard that kind of talk on Raw in a very long time. And I saw some jaws drop from some of the over 18,000 fans there, too. I mean, WWE is doing the right thing with this matchup going into Mania. And we know many fans are already backing up The Rock, but now so many more fans, I believe, are now backing up Cena, and maybe not backing him 100%, but at least investing more interest in him and having some more faith in him that he may actually beat The Rock come Mania, because, in my opinion, he definitely beat The Rock in their battle tonight.
All right. Well, again, we are asking all of you to tell us on our Facebook page what you think, and I think you'd be a little surprised as to the way the voting is going right now. It's extremely lopsided in one person's favor, Facebook.com/PWR show. And now the man they call Meathead, your thoughts on tonight and WWE Raw overall, highlight, low light, and takeaway.
I tell you, it was too much for my small brain. No, I'm just kidding. A lot of things going on tonight. You know, Raw was very heavy. Many different things. If you didn't get into this Raw, you're cynical. You don't. I mean, there's obviously things that may not have been as great as most of the show was, but if you were not paying attention, then you really weren't watching a decent Raw show. Again, with us being 2-3 weeks away from Raw, they gave us everything we needed, extensions of what storylines are going on. Now, the highlight by far had to be my man, the Funkasaurus, coming back, because I got up, I stopped what I was doing, and I started doing the Funkasaurus in my living room. But that's another story, another time. Low light is the law firm of David Otunga.
What? That was hilarious.
No, it wasn't.
Oh, come on. I thought it was going to be Eisenberg, Weigel, Carlson, Blau, Reitz, Clemens, and Otunga.
You know what? They can throw Otunga in the law firm of Dewey, Cheatham, and Howe.
No, they went under. They got taken down, that whole Sackman, Goldman Sachs scandal.
But yeah, that's Raw was amazing tonight. I really thought there was something for everybody. Matter of fact, I'm going to go back over and watch some of the stuff again just because I want to see it one more time.
All right, Meathead, thanks for those comments. We are going to take our first time out of the evening. When we come back, we're going to be entering the phone zone and trying to get some of your comments that you're sharing with us in the chat room on air as well. This is the Pro Wrestling Report Monday Night Meltdown. We're live on Blog Talk Radio. It's Monday, March 12, 2012. We'll be back right after this.
Monday Night Meltdown continues after this, live on Blog Talk Radio. Missed an episode on the Pro Wrestling Report? Thanks, pal. Subscribe to the show on iTunes and take the show with you wherever you go, even in the bathroom. The Pro Wrestling Report presents the Shenanigans Beach Party, hosted by Big Sexy Kevin Nash and Sean X-Pac Waltman. Join us at one of the best clubs on South Beach, Ocean's 10, located at 960 Ocean Drive, on Friday, March 30th, starting at 7 p.m. The Shenanigans Beach Party will feature appearances by Billy Gunn, TNA TV champion Robbie E., former WWE Tag Team champions The Headbangers, Shane Hurricane Helms, along with others. Tickets for the biggest wrestling party ever are on sale now at PWRshow.com and start at just $15. The Monday Night Meltdown phone zone is now open. Give us a call live at 1-877-317-9772 and be sure to press 1 to get in where you fit in and be part of tonight's live show. We'll call on you by your area code, and when you hear it, tell us your name and where you're calling from. Then proceed with your question or comment.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Pro Wrestling Report Monday Night Meltdown. We're live on Blog Talk Radio. It's Monday, March 12, 2012. 3/12/12 was a Raw that will not soon be forgotten due to not only its significance, but its overall entertainment value. And we are discussing tonight's Raw and seeking your feedback on what you thought of tonight's episode from World Wrestling Entertainment on the USA Network. But before we get to our first caller, David Hero, big announcement put out on PWR Twitter tonight. More names have been added to the Shenanigans Beach Party coming on March 30th, Friday, March 30th, on South Beach in Miami, Florida, as part of WrestleMania weekend, a once-in-a-lifetime, one-of-a-kind experience for you to party at a nightclub on South Beach with major professional wrestling legends and now also a Hall of Famer. Here are the names, ladies and gentlemen, added just this week, announced today, added to the Shenanigans Beach Party. Are you ready for this? Are you ready for this? As Regis Philbin would say, Harry Smith, formerly of WWE, will be in attendance. Rob Terry will be joining Robbie E., as we announced last week right here on this very program. World Wrestling Entertainment Hall of Famer, just inducted last year, has been now signed on for the Shenanigans Beach Party. You know you want her. Sunny will be joining us at the Shenanigans Beach Party, and also a big name.
You know when Sunny's there, it's nonstop shenanigans.
Exactly. A huge name, though, added even on top of that. Diamond Dallas Page. It's him, it's DDP. Add that to Kevin Nash and X-Pac, who are hosting. Already mentioned Robbie E. Billy Gunn, who was trending on Twitter tonight. The Headbangers, Mosh, and Thrasher. I think that's it, David Hero. We could probably stop now, right? We don't need to add anybody else to this thing because...
listen, we're going to keep making phone calls. We're going to, keep talking to people. And you know what? It's going to just keep getting bigger and bigger. If you don't have your tickets, you're going to miss out on the best beach party in all of Miami.
And only a few VIP tickets remain. We've also listed and indicated the talents that you are guaranteed to get a meet and greet with as part of the VIP experience at PWRshow.com. So head on over there, get all the details and information on that, PWRshow.com. And let's make two things crystal clear as it pertains to the Shenanigans Beach Party. Last year, we had stars show up at the at the party at Stats in Atlanta who weren't announced. This year, as you said, David Hero, the phones are still being worked. We have invited a lot of major wrestling talent to this party. And while we have announced the set list, at this point, you never know what's going to come up. So it's a great opportunity on a Friday night where there's nothing else to do but the party on South Beach, and we expect to see all wrestling fans 18 and over who can participate in the event. But don't wait to get your tickets. This is very important. This is a hot club. There's a limited number of space available for this event, and once it sells out, it is sold out. So
let's make it clear. It's 18 and over. You don't have to be 21. You can be 18 and still get in.
Absolutely. So, back to Shenanigans Beach Party, and this Friday on primetime, ooh, man almighty, I understand that we have a meeting Saturday afternoon with Paul Fix at Channel 24. Now, David, I don't know if they told you what this meeting is about, but I've got big plans during the daytime for St. Patrick's Day on Saturday, and this meeting's getting in the way, so it better be important. That's all I'm saying.
Well, you know what? As long as the problem is you don't get back to people. So now
I'm a busy man, and my PAs keep quitting. Let's go to the phones now, ladies and gentlemen. Let's go to our first caller, who's calling us from Davenport, Iowa. Trina, you're live.
Hey, guys.
Hello, Trina.
How you doing?
Hey, Trina. Tremendous.
I'm sorry about my voice. I'm fighting this virus, but I just had a call because of Raw. First off, David, please endorse Otunga, please, so we can get rid of him. Please.
Come on. David Otunga's a future star. You know that.
That just happened. That is tremendous. Yes, that's going to be your new way of life, David Hero. If you want somebody gone, just it just gets you to become a super friend. That's fantastic.
But also, what got me to call, I thought my fever spiked when I heard John Cena's old music. I'm like, oh shit, I'm dying. And it just made me floored. I loved it, and I thought Rock, he took 20 minutes too much.
Okay.
I got over it, and I really thought the crowd wasn't really into it. Granted, I'm really high on flu medicine, so I could be wrong. But I think John Cena sunk his battleship.
Wow. You know, like I said, John Cena didn't get nearly as much time as The Rock did, and I don't know if that's going to work in the favor of The Rock or not. But, you know, the interesting thing is if you notice some of the tweets that came out of the locker room tonight during Raw, it seems like the talent, the current Raw and SmackDown talent, is more behind John Cena than they are The Rock.
I think because they see his diva personality coming out and seeing how he's, you know, the pure hatred that he has for Cena and all the stuff Cena has done for the company. I think the guys are going to start seeing like Clay. When the company,
well, you know what? Let's be fair though. The Rock has done just as much for the E as John Cena done. You know, I mean,
more.
Yeah, I mean, you know, when the people talk about The Rock's movies, they mention former WWE superstar, former, you know, champion, The Rock.
I'm not talking about the movies, but I'm talking about in the Attitude Era. Was half of the roster hurt and they had to put all of the company on Rock's shoulders? I would not think he would have done it. I honestly would, and I'm a diehard Rock fan. I was raised in the Attitude Era. I love Rock, but let's look at it. Let's look at Rock's personality. Would he really do what John Cena has done for the company? I really think not.
All right, Trina, thank you very much for that call. Here's my question.
No problem, guys.
Trina's question. At the end of the day, if you really step back, 2 years from now, let's say John Cena has his last match at WrestleMania. It's not going to be the case. You step back 2 years from then. What will he have done for the company? Now, I'm not diminishing it. I'm not saying he hasn't done anything. But a lot of people could have stepped into that role. All right? A lot of people could have done it. The Rock, Stone Cold Steve Austin, Hulk Hogan, Bruno Sammartino, Bob Backlund to a degree. Those were iconic people who defined the direction of the entire industry. I'm not sure John Cena has that classification yet.
I mean, you know what? John Cena is a star. There's no question.
No doubt.
And he's probably one of the top 10 best WrestleMania players in the history of WrestleMania. But I don't think you can compare what John Cena has done being the sole guy of the company, because let's face it, he has been adored, he has been cheered, but he's also been extremely hated by the fans. And the fact is that he was their only choice, their only option. Whereas, the fans in the Attitude Era, they could cheer for Rock, they could cheer for Austin, DX, Mankind, Undertaker, Kurt Angle, Chris Jericho, the list goes on and on. But let's also not, forget that. Look at the talent that The Rock's had to work with. He's had, main event guys, Hall of Fame guys for the majority of his career. He's come back. You know what? Yeah, it may be selfish reasons for his movie career or whatnot, but he's also come back to put a larger spotlight on John Cena to take him to that next level. If there was no Rock at this year's WrestleMania, the only other option for John Cena would have to be The Undertaker, because he's already wrestled everybody else at least a dozen times on both the Raw and SmackDown roster.
Let's continue with the
match
calls
that John Cena needed.
Let's continue with the calls and go now to Casey calling from Mobile, Alabama. Casey, you're live.
Hey, fellas, how y'all doing today?
Tremendous.
Well, fellas, I just want to go off and just to comment on this one particular thing. I've been listening to y'all show for weeks and weeks and weeks, dealing with the John Cena Rock feud and the comments that I've been hearing. A lot of people go off and say that they're real big fans of The Rock, but then behind what they say, they go off and disrespect him. You got to understand that Rock is one of the few guys, besides with Austin, Mankind, and many others, that paved the way for people like John Cena. But then here it is, without a Rock, there wouldn't be a John Cena. Just like without the older guys in the 80s, there wouldn't be a Rock. So you have to show that type of respect. But I don't think the newer fans that are John Cena fans are showing that type.
Sounds like we may have lost Casey there, but
yeah, Damien, that call dropped.
Yeah, thank you. Here's the thing: The Rock, we said this before recently, has absolutely no reason whatsoever to be back in WWE. He's done movies that have done millions of dollars. I mean, hell, he's going to be the star of the next G.I. Joe movie coming out. He doesn't need WWE or its fans to make the millions of dollars he's going to make on the movies. So I think that's somewhat of the point that Casey was making. The Rock don't need WWE. WWE needs The Rock. And this dissension, if you will, or this disdain, if you will, for the fact that he's back seems so unfounded. We recently heard Dolph Ziggler talk about it. We've heard CM Punk talk about it. Maybe we're all getting worked. I don't know, but it seems, and you keep hearing the veterans, if you will, the JRs of the world and people who are outside of WWE now saying, you're a fool if you don't appreciate the fact that The Rock is participating in WrestleMania and is a part of WWE.
Damien, when was the last time we've ever said that WWE needs anybody?
Right. They've always been bigger.
They've always had that larger-than-life star. And John Cena is a larger-than-life star. There's no question. He's been the top guy for the last 7 years. He's been their top merchandising guy for the last 7 years. But, yeah, when was the last time that they brought somebody back like The Rock truly just as, I hate to call it, a novelty act, but that's what he is.
Let's go now to Arthur calling from Bloomington. Arthur, you're live.
What's up, y'all?
Hey, Arthur.
Great night here in Milwaukee.
Yeah, you're doing right. Let me just tell y'all this. I got a couple of things to say. What Jericho said to CM Punk, that son of a bitch needs to pay and pay with his and pay he will at WrestleMania, because you don't say nothing about nobody's family, especially his father. Now,
but Arthur, I think in this case the truth hurts.
Well, that truth definitely hurts. Now, what that last person said, Casey, half what he said is true, but the other half I don't agree, because John Cena was big. He would be big without The Rock or without these other guys. He already was big because he earned it by doing one thing. When he made his debut on a SmackDown and nearly came close of beating Kurt Angle.
Yeah, Arthur, I got to say that's probably valid. Here's the thing. I'm just going to flat out say it because I just don't care anymore. John Cena is in no way, shape, or form anywhere on par with the star power of The Rock. Not The Rock of today, not The Rock of 1999. We've talked about this, David. The money that was made during the Austin and Rock era in WWE by those two and by WWE and by everybody else in the company has not ever happened. It did not happen before them. It has not happened after them. That's the measuring stick. Now, entertainment as an industry has changed substantially in the last 10 years. I get that. I know that. But you can't compare John Cena to The Rock. You can't compare John Cena to Steve Austin. You can only in one very, very small way. And that one very, very small way is that that John Cena is clearly the face of the company right now, and Hogan was, and Rock was, and Austin was in their time. But there's just no comparisons. It just shouldn't be made.
Well, it's not, but unfortunately that's the way it's going to be, because those are the two top guys of each of their eras. And going forward, they have to compare it that way because they want this match to be larger than life.
we've got a ton of you on hold right now. We've got to breeze through these phone calls as best we can as we're coming up on the end of the show here. And let's do so by going to Brandon, who's calling us from Kentucky. Brandon from Kentucky, you are live here on PWR Meltdown.
Hey, how are you all doing tonight?
Awesome.
Good. Two real quick things, and then I'm going to comment about Raw. First, I would like an apology from The Rock because I've been happily married to a beautiful woman for 7 years. I've seen Pie, and I am a Cena fan, so I would like him to apologize to me personally.
42 or over, though.
No. I'm 32, so I guess he wasn't talking to me. My bad. I should have remembered that. And the other thing, and tonight I was watching, and I was so excited for the Rock concert because two of my favorite things, I can watch it over and over and over, were the original Rock concerts. The one that he did with Stone Cold in Sacramento was hilarious. One of my favorite pieces the Rock ever did. And I was so excited for tonight thinking it was going to be the same, and I was let down. And you know, David said, and usually, you know, I'm very big fans of both David and Damian, which is very odd for some reason. But David, I don't understand how it was entertaining. I just really don't. And I've got Cena's books. I've got Cena's Rock, book and DVDs. And I told you I was a Rock fan last week, but I also like Cena. I don't understand where it's entertaining. It seemed like John Cena is delivering, and The Rock, I'm just going to say this, is not as good as what he was.
It may not have been entertaining to you, but to the 18,000 people in Cleveland, when you watched them pan the audience, they were smiling, they were having a good time, and they were clapping along. So, you know, to the audience there, they were obviously entertained because of the smiles and the laughs that were going on. But, and of course, we're all different types of wrestling fans. I mean, some of us are going to like Cena, some are going to like Rock, some of us don't like the funny ha-ha, some of us do. So for each person, it's going to be different. But at the end of the day, when you sit back and you watch the TV reaction of the crowd in that building, they seem that they enjoyed both of them. But The Rock seemed to, and obviously The Rock was playing to the Cleveland Rocks theme and getting Cleveland behind him. But at the same time, John Cena did the same thing by coming out with the Mark Price jersey on. So both guys played to the home audience.
Yeah. I have one last question, and maybe I'm going to be the new guy that is kind of like the producer of 5 More Minutes. You all did a great job answering my question last week in the 5 More Minutes segment about Cena. And this week I have another question for you that may go into the topic. And you all kind of talked about at the top of the show how the WWE Champion is kind of sixth on the card. And I was thinking about this earlier this week. Is there somebody that's in the company or a storyline, an angle, whatever they can do to elevate the belt to make it where the number one person in the company has the belt? Are we past that? I mean, over every WrestleMania, it seems like Hogan had the belt. Bret Hart had the belt. Stone Cold had the belt at WrestleMania. Triple H had the belt. Cena had the belt. And it meant something. I mean, it gives anybody or any storyline that can elevate that back, and I'll hang up and listen to your all's answer. And I love your all's show. I wish I was going with you in Miami. I just don't have the financial means or the Amex that you all do. So I hope you all have a great time. And
nobody has an Amex like Damian Nelson. I'll that's for damn sure.
Brandon, thank you so much for calling from Kentucky, and a great question. Definitely we'll defer that to a future episode, but a great question, much like you presented to us last week, and great comments as well. One thing, Matthew, we haven't heard from you in a while. I know David talks a lot, so there's just this.
I have to get 140 comments or less every week.
This whole Cena Rock thing is just polarizing, and the question that we asked earlier is whether or not this is overtaking the WWE Championship match, and sort of what Brandon was just talking about, and all the other matches on the card. Well, what has everybody talked about when they called in? Pretty much either Punk Jericho or Rock Cena. So that's where the trend is. So I think that's where the focus should be.
But look at how Raw's being built. You give almost 40 minutes to one match out of a 2-hour show.
Yeah.
If you give Punk and Jericho the same amount of time, I bet you we're getting as many calls on Punk and Jericho as we do Rock and Cena.
Valid point. Valid point. Let's go to our next caller, Conrad from Sheboygan. Conrad from Sheboygan, you're live.
How you guys doing?
Absolutely tremendous. How are you tonight?
I'm all right. I had to say, though, this was a pretty decent Raw. It was nice to see, Rock get a little edge. But let me tell you, I agree with Dave on this one, though. Like you said, that whole anti-bulletin campaign, it's done. They just pulling out all the stops, and Vince McMahon is trying to get all that money, to get everybody to get in those seats just to watch this match, and it's a pretty big match. But my biggest thing is my prediction of this WrestleMania, of just the two big matches that's going to be there. And the Rock and Cena, we know that Cena cannot go toe-to-toe with The Rock. So something's going to happen in that one, and I can definitely see Eve coming in and messing that one up. That's my prediction on that one. And definitely, it's going to be a shenanigan with that HBK and Triple H and Undertaker match. All the way live, I do see HBK kicking Triple H and Undertaker making the score on that one. And
sweet chin music. Well, thank you so much, Conrad from Sheboygan, for making that call and joining us here on the Meltdown tonight. And, SmackDown was great last week. Hell, Impact was great last week. Raw was great tonight. WrestleMania is coming up. Victory Road's this Sunday on pay-per-view. You can check out Be the Booker Friday at PWRshow.com, first at PWRshow.com for that. And I think a lot more people are going to get equally excited about the next endorsed talent, ladies and gentlemen. I am prepared to put my name behind a talent in the wrestling business who I look at and see as a future world champion, even if they've already been, they'll get it again, and a future major player in the business. Let's go over the list of people I've endorsed so far, and David and Matthew, listen closely. Starting with The Miz. Dolph Ziggler is endorsed. Heath Slater is endorsed. Brodus Clay is endorsed. Crimson over in TNA is endorsed. Cody Rhodes, the Intercontinental Champion, is endorsed. And ladies and gentlemen, here today, mark it on March 12, 2012, I hereby officially endorse, Eve Torres. Oh, yeah, I said it. Eve is now endorsed, ladies and gentlemen. Ha-ha! Yep, I done did it.
You know what, Damien? I'm glad you finally rounded out your squad. And you know what? I can't disagree with you. I think Eve is going to be tremendous. But, yeah, good addition. Nice job, buddy.
Thank you.
One thing, too, it's amazing how much hotter she is now that she's a heel.
Right? And that whole Friends with Benefits thing with Zack Ryder tonight was frickin' fantastic.
I don't know exactly what it is, but something about heel Eve is exponentially hotter to me. So
she owns it. Absolutely. I mean, just everything she does is just perfect. It's great. And I don't endorse many people. And David Hero, please don't make her a super friend because you'll ruin her career too.
It's not fair.
I appreciate the fact that there are a lot of you on hold right now. I appreciate that fact. However, we are at the end time, the necessary end time for this show. We would love to continue to hear your comments via Twitter at PWR Show and on our Facebook page, facebook.com/PWR Show. We do have the results of the poll. We asked on Facebook who got the upper hand tonight. Was it The Rock or John Cena? And it was a decisive victory tonight with one man getting 76% of the voting. And that man was The Rock, who takes his third week in a row of victory over John Cena, 34%. Going back, week 1, Rock got it 55%, 45% for Cena. Week 2, 54% for The Rock, 46% for Cena. Tonight, 76% of the voting going to The Rock, 34% going to Cena. Matthew, does that surprise you that the fans made those selections?
No, not really. I thought that, at least in my eyes, the Rock turned in the more entertaining of the performances, and I know The Rock is he's taken the crown the last couple of weeks in our polls too, so not a surprise at all.
David Hero?
You know what? I think tonight was a wash. You know, I think both guys got their points across. Both guys got their digs in. Both guys were entertaining to their fan base. I think The Rock, the karaoke thing may have hurt him in the end, but you know what? I'm telling you right now, they could pull back the reins a little bit on all this Rock Cena, and but next week they're going to be in Philadelphia, and you know it's going to be crazy there.
Right. Indeed it will be. And this week, more PWR programming continues on Wednesday night or Wednesday afternoon, first at PWRshow.com. It's The Profile. This week we take a look at The Miz and his sad offerings as of late in WWE. On Friday, it's Be the Booker for TNA Victory Road. Again, first at PWRshow.com. Saturday, it's a St. Patrick's Day edition of Primetime Television, where we actually look back at the 10 biggest stars, the 10 best performers in WrestleMania history, a controversial list. I'm sure it will be that this Saturday on a special edition of Primetime on St. Patrick's Day, and then the post-show on Sunday. The post-show on Sunday of TNA Victory Road on pay-per-view. And you can find out all about what's going to happen at Victory Road on the Sudden Impact Radio Show, hosted by the man they call Meathead, this Thursday night, right here on Blog Talk Radio. David Hero, I don't know if I told you, but I'm going to be performing at the soon-to-be closing O'Shea's Casino on Thursday night out in Las Vegas, Nevada. I'll be doing a little bit of singing on the big stage there at O'Shea's. Well, yeah, I'm a performer.
Oh, my God.
That's also a surprise. I'm multi-talented.
No,
Thank
I know you can go. There's no doubt about that whatsoever.
I want to thank everybody for tuning in. I want to thank Linda Kay. I want to thank the man they call Meathead running the show behind the scenes tonight, and all of you who joined us in the chat room and on Twitter, Facebook, and everywhere else. This has been the Pro Wrestling Report Monday Night Meltdown. For Matthew Thomas, Linda Kay, David Hero, and the man they call Meathead, this is Damian Nelson saying thank you so much for tuning in. We'll see you again next week.
This is the Pro Wrestling Report. Informative, entertaining, real.